What up, fam? It's your boy Aaron coming to you once again from First and Faithful. And wow, there are rare times that you feel like a W is an L. And this is definitely one of those, especially when you look at the score 31-13. You know, you usually feel pretty good about that. This is one you don't feel good about pretty much at all. If you haven't heard, Nick Bosa, Solly Thomas have both feared out for the season with torn ACLs. Happened on back-to-back plays. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Just crazy. Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain. He did not play. Played the whole first half. Didn't come back out or didn't come out to play for the second half. So he was done for the rest of the game. High ankle sprain. Will he back next week? No. He will not be back. I don't care what Kyle Shanahan says. Maybe, but no. He's not playing next week. Not on that fucking turf. There's no fucking way he plays next week. The only way he plays is if Nick Mullins, something happens to Mullins or something. But he's not playing. He won't be back till week 4 or 5. I maybe even later, depending on how that high ankle sprains, as you all know, are a very fickle mistress. So Raheem Mostert, also a knee injury. Coach Shanahan linked to the turf. I don't think he plays next week either. If the turf is the issue and they're playing on the turf again next week, I don't think you even risk it. You just sit him as well. Maybe call Jermichael Hasty or maybe Jeff Wilson Jr. gets more play. I don't know, but there's just no way. I'm sorry. If the turf is the issue, you're not playing. It's the same thing I said with the preview about Kittle. If he couldn't go this week, you're not playing him next week either. If the turf is part of the issue, you just don't play him. And I think today just solidifies that. You're not playing, anybody who even says their knee is kind of sore. A start, you don't play him. You just say, sorry, you're not playing. The Giants are a very winnable game next week. They will be without Saquon Barkley, who is feared suffered a torn ACL as well. So he's going to be out. You have a very winnable game. You sit as many people as you can. Get everybody back home against a very beatable Philadelphia Eagles team. Week 4, Week 5 is against the Dolphins. Another winnable game. You try to get everybody as healthy as possible going into Week 6, which is against the Rams. It's going to be, to me, the first, really big challenge between now and that point. It just sucks. And I think this solidifies any thoughts that anybody had about Kittle playing. I said I didn't think he'd play this next week because of the turf. There's no way he's playing. There's no way Jimmy's going to play next week. I don't think Mostert plays next week. It is what it is. Mullins did not look good. To be fair, you wouldn't expect him to look good. I would have been more surprised if he came out and looked great. I mean, this guy has not taken a meaningful snap since 2018. So not surprising with no preseason, no snaps with the first team. It's no surprise. People are like, on Twitter, he looks terrible. Yeah, I would think he would look. No offense, but I would think he would look terrible because if he came out and lit it up, that would have said a lot about other people on that squad. So that's good that he came out and looked bad. But I think with a whole week of game planning, him getting reps with the first team, etc., I think he'll look good. Props to Jimmy for just hanging in there for as long as he did. He was hobbling. You saw him just hopping around. You could tell. And you can see Greg Williams, once he saw that wounded animal came after him. I don't want those shade at Greg Williams, but, Bounty Gate and all that. There were some very questionable hits on Jimmy after he got hurt. Only one of them was flagged. I thought a couple others probably should have been flagged if we're protecting the quarterbacks. And we saw last week with Kyler, people kind of breathing on them and getting flags. I don't want to say anything about Greg Williams, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners sent a tape to the league office, kind of looking at some of those hits. Defense stepped up. They kind of played a bend but not break. I mean, the Jets got into Niners territory a few times. Niners stiffened up, held them out of the end zone basically until the very end when Witherspoon lost contain on a scramble drill. But overall, I mean, they played great. For the most part, once I see the all-22, I'll be able to kind of break down a little bit more and see. Kerry Hyder looked amazing. I thought he looked good last week. This week he looked good. That's why I wasn't as concerned about D Ford missing this week's game because Kerry Hyder's been playing really good in his place. So Good to see him continue that. But, I think the thing to take away from this is the sky's not falling. It kind of seems like that, and I understand that. Obviously, losing Bosa, I'm not saying losing Bosa is not a thing, or, is not, but this team has enough depth to get by, especially these next 3 to 4 weeks. The Giants are it's a very easily winnable game. They'll probably still be fair. Even if it's Mullins, they'll probably still be fair against the Giants. Then they go home, they get the Eagles, who look really bad. They might be favored in that game too. Debo should be back. I would imagine Kittle will be back. Mostert will probably be back. So another very winnable game. Week 5 at home again against the Dolphins. Another very easily winnable game. And then, before week 6 against the Rams. I think the Rams is the first big challenge. So, definitely keep, they can go into that Rams game 5-1, which would be huge. Remember, there's that extra playoff spot, the extra wild card team, the 7th playoff spot. So, you just want to get into the tournament, right? So I'm not saying the division's out. I'm not saying they can't, but obviously there's going to be some issues here, and with all the injuries, so they may lose a few more games than last season. That's okay. You just want them to get into the tournament and let the chips fall where they may. But I know a lot of people are upset, despondent. Keep your heads up. They battled through. They won today. They have winnable games. In Shanahan I trust, and Mullins I trust. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people are like, Jimmy and Mullins. Who gives a fuck who the starting quarterback is? And I'll go into this into much more detail in a different video. But honestly, I ask people this all the time on Twitter. Who is your loyalty to? Jimmy Garoppolo or to the 49ers? If your loyalty is to the team, if you're a fan of the team, who gives a fuck who the quarterback is? Who gives a fuck who the quarterback is, right? Are you going to cheer less for the Niners now because Jimmy Garoppolo won't play next week? Then you need to cop to that and say you're a Jimmy Garoppolo fan, and then a Niners fan kind of after that. That's where your loyalties lie. Jimmy Garoppolo here, and then the Niners down here. If Niners are up top, then you're cheering hard for whoever the fucking quarterback is. I don't care who the quarterback is. Jimmy G, Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, could not give a shit. I'm going to cheer hard for whoever is starting out there because I want the team to win, period. End of discussion, end of story. If you have, a problem with our, issue with that, you may want to ask yourself where your loyalties actually really lie with the team. But that's it for now. Like I said, I'll have a reaction, grades, all that next week, the next day or two. But thanks for watching. As always, this has been First and Faithful. I'm Aaron. Keep your heads up. Have a great one.
Hey, thanks for watching First and Faithful. Here's another video I think you'll enjoy. Also, don't forget to subscribe. New videos every week. Appreciate all the support.